میرے خیال ہے کہ پاکستان میں جو ہم ہسٹری رائٹنگ کر رہے ہیں وہ زیادہ تر ہسٹری ایز ڈسکورس ہے، یعنی پاور کے ساتھ اس کا جو ریلیشن شپ ہے اس کے حوالے سے ہم تاریخ کو، جس کو آپ آئیڈیالوجی کہہ لیجئے، جس کو آپ متھ میکنگ کہہ لیجئے، پروپیگنڈا کہہ لیجئے، لیکن یہ ہے کہ ہسٹری جو ہے نا وہ ایک پاور ریلیشن شپ کے ساتھ وابستہ کر کے، چاہے ہم اسٹیٹ سے ہٹ کر بھی لکھ رہے ہیں تو وہ ہمارے ذہن میں جو ہے نا وہی نیریٹو جو آئیڈیالوجی کا ہے اسی فریم ورک کے اندر ہم استعمال کرتے ہیں. تو کیا ایسا ممکن ہے کہ ہسٹری کو ہم پاور کے ساتھ یعنی ڈسکنیکٹ کر کے ہسٹری کیا لکھی جا سکتی ہے؟
لکھی جا رہی ہے. یہ کہنا کہ نہیں لکھی جا رہی تو غلط بات ہے. دنیا بھر میں لکھی جاتی ہے. Knowledge is power. But if you're going to restrict knowledge to power as is, then you are doing a disservice to knowledge. But the relationship between knowledge and power I don't deny. But if you're going to take an existential power and say that this is the power and therefore we must produce knowledge in accordance with it, then I think that's a disservice.
But the alternate narratives which are produced, جیسے ہاورڈ زین کا حوالہ آپ نے دیا پیپلز ہسٹری آف یونائٹڈ اسٹیٹس, it is also related to some kind of a power relationship. It is not something which is totally divorced from power.
Yes, but I say that knowledge is power.
Yes.
But the question is, but what kind of power? Power can also be something that finds resonance in a people. I mean, if you're writing the history of 1971 and it finds resonance in those who were the other side, then that is good history perhaps. Because you're able to sort of find it resonates with people. That's a kind of power which may be more powerful than the power of the state.
So probably the missing link between the history writing in Pakistan is that kind of an alternate power structures are not there.
I think they are there. They are there in your non-Punjabi provinces and maybe even in Punjab itself. I think ہے اس کو اجاگر کرنا زیادہ ہماری ضرورت ہے. میں سمجھتی ہوں کہ کاؤنٹر نیریٹیوز بالکل ہیں اس ملک میں اور ہمیشہ رہے.
یہ ہے کہ یہ جو ہسٹری میکنگ ہم کرتے رہے ہیں پاکستان میں یا ہسٹری لرننگ بھی بڑی ہے اور یہ فریگمنٹیشن میں اس کی انسپائریشن گورنمنٹ یا جو ہسٹورین تھے وہ کہاں سے لے رہے تھے کہ اس طرح سے نیشن میکنگ ہو سکتی ہے کہ اگر ہم فریگمنٹڈ ہسٹری بنائیں گے اپنے محمد بن قاسم سے پہلے والا جو سارا پیریڈ ہے اس کو اریز کر کے پاکستان کی جو ہسٹری ہم کریٹ کرتے ہیں جو اس کی انسپائریشن یا کوئی ایسا ماڈل ہے دنیا میں یہاں سے یہ لی گئی ہو؟
I mean, the new nation states have all got their ideological agendas. So you will, I mean, you know that history is written by the so-called victors. So the alternative points of views are left aside. But true history, I mean, historiography requires that. But the fact that history ko yahan par bilkul ek national, I mean, the weaponization of history for ideological purposes is what has been a real disservice to history as a method. History is a method to deal with the past, to learn from the past. And the past is not something that happened there, it is still with you. You are still talking about it. After all, hum Islam ki baat karte hain, usko seekhne ki koshish karte hain. So it is a question of a dialogue. But though I think I would blame the official managers of the state for this, not our academicians, because they are sort of servants of the state. But I think it is the lack of self-confidence that has led to this. But of 75 years past, I think we should feel confident enough to be able to tackle questions that are difficult and not easy. میں سمجھتی ہوں کہ یہ مسئلہ رہا ہے.
Of the archives, like erasure of the archives. I was resonating with Michel Trower's book Silencing the Past, Power and Silencing. I was wondering that in Pakistan there has been certain issues as well. There has been erasure of archives. And so do we need to write the history of erasure and silencing the past in Pakistan as well? What's your comment on that?
Historical silences are not sort of restricted to Haitian history. They are all over the place. I mean, we have silenced the past in multiple ways. Every country does it. So does the United States of America. So does the former Soviet Union, China. Everybody does. But the difference is that history as a profession is not restricted to the official domain in many countries. You do have non-official history writing. So I would say कि state-sponsored histories के अलावा भी अगर आप लोग लिखें, so they are about erasures. The whole enterprise of the historian is to bring to light that which has been erased. Otherwise, if you're just writing about something that everybody knows, it's not going to have that much value. So it is about digging up the silences and bringing them to the fore. I think that is what history is.
And validity in history, in the advanced age, where seeing a flood of different perspectives plays an important role in manipulating history.
Let me say that that is precisely where the subject of today's talk, history as method, comes in. You know, people think that history is about the past, names. आप किसी से भी पूछें, आप ordinary बंदे से पूछें कि वो माजी की बात है, वो तारीखों की बात है, नामों की बात है. मगर सबसे बड़ी जो मैं अपने बच्चों को बताती हूँ कि history, the real craft, the real sort of art of history writing is that you're presented with 50 different narratives which clash. अब अगर आप postmodern हैं तो आप कह सकते हैं कि क्योंकि इतनी ज़्यादा तजाद है, कुछ भी नहीं हुआ. अब एक एक्सीडेंट हुआ लिबर्टी चौक पे और 50 डिफरेंट नैरेटिव्स आए उसके, और आप कहें कि वो इतनी ज़्यादा उसमें तजाद है कि वो हुआ ही नहीं, और हम कहते हैं इन चीज़ों को. मगर हिस्ट्री राइटिंग की आर्ट है कि आप 50 नैरेटिव्स को लेकर उसको कोहेरेंटली पेश करें. दैट इज़ व्हाट हिस्ट्री इज़. So it is the art of writing taking contradictory narratives and making sense of it.
Ma'am, sometimes when people हमें काफी मुश्किल होती है इस चीज को आइडेंटिफाई करने में कि आपका ट्रू नैरेटिव क्या है.
तो ट्रू नैरेटिव तो तभी निकलेगा कि जब आप कॉन्ट्रडिक्टरी नैरेटिव्स को, हिस्टोरियन का सारा वैल्यू ही ये है कि वो एस्टैब्लिश करे कि सच क्या है, ये ना कहे कि हुआ ही नहीं. The challenge for you is to take those 50 contradictory narratives and decide what is the truth. That is your task.
Searching for history, searching for reality and truth. How can we distinguish between the good history and bad history? What is how to distinguish between?
The difference between propaganda and critical history. I mean, critical history may not be the final goal. I mean, it may not. I mean, if somebody writes a critical history, but it's an advancement towards the truth. One is always approximating the truth. But when you take off on a propaganda blizzard, then that's a completely different task. You're trying to fulfill an ideological official project. But a true historian will try and take a critical approach and approximate the truth. Not saying that this is the end. I mean, knowledge keeps changing. New things come out. And you take account of them and then move on. That's what this human dialogue is. We are very imperfect people. I mean, human beings are imperfect. We aspire for the truth. But if we close that option and only aspire for propaganda as truth, then that's your choice. Private institutions का आना बहुत अच्छा हुआ है हमारे मुल्क में. बहुत ही अच्छे students मैंने पढ़ाए हैं यहाँ पर, और वो आते भी हैं मेरे पास. मगर मैं एक चीज़ इस बात का जिक्र कर रही हूँ, इसलिए मैं बड़ी खुशी से यहाँ पे आ जाई हूँ, और वो ये है कि you know, I'm a Tufts and I have taken Pakistani PhDs. You know, some have come via the Fulbright method, यानी कि they come as MA students and then they've stayed on. We've taken them as PhD students. But you know, we have restricted resources. The kind of history we need to do in Pakistan can only be done here. We need to improve the graduate programs. I'm trying to persuade LUMS to start a graduate program. Because we do have the faculty depth. We have faculty that can train these students. Money की बात है ना. अब PhD जो होता है, a PhD student, when you bring a PhD student in a foreign in America, you have to give them 5 years of funding. So आप मुझे बताइए, I mean, if somebody wants to write on Shibli Nomani, he's not going to be, she or he is not going to be picked up. Because I'm only one person. I'm sitting on a committee with 6 other people. Somebody in American history, somebody in medieval history. They're not going to find Shibli interesting. समझ रही हैं आप? So हमें ये खुद करना पड़ेगा. So we need to start producing our own historical literature. उसकी क्वालिटी भी होनी चाहिए. मगर मैं समझती हूँ कि हो सकती है, बिकॉज फैकल्टी है आपके पास और स्टूडेंट्स भी ज़हीन हैं, मगर इंस्टीट्यूशनल वो बेसिस नहीं है, क्योंकि अब बाहर जाके सब PhDs नहीं कर सकते. मैं आपको सिर्फ ये अर्ज कर रही हूँ, साइंसेज में अभी भी लोग आ जाते हैं, मगर ह्यूमैनिटीज एंड सोशल साइंसेज हमें यहाँ ही करनी पड़ेंगी, और सोर्सेज भी इधर ही हैं.
Ma'am, I have a very simple question, that we are talking about the history and historical narratives and all these things, but what is your perception that how language played a vital role in writing history?
Excellent question.
Which is
This is the best question.
Thank you.
And I can only sort of give you my sort of, I mean, again in my new book it comes out loud and clear that Farsi se alaghi jo hui hai, dabai ka. I think, and you know, and I was talking to Rasi, my friend, that the other day, that you know there was a very lively debate between Sayyid Ahmad Khan, मैं इसमें किताब में लिखती हूँ, and मौलवी ज़काउल्लाह and Deputy Nazir Ahmad, जो कहते थे कि उर्दू का मीडियम होना चाहिए. And you know, to be fair to Sayyid Ahmad, you know, he had set up translation societies. But then he stopped and he said, you know, we are not living in the Abbasid period. अब Abbasid period में 8वीं सदी में Al-Mamun के ज़माने में all manner of Greek texts were translated into Arabic. But he was in power, he had the resources. But Sayyid Ahmad was there at a time when the British were in power. So, I mean, there was just no ability to translate fast enough. So, उन्होंने pragmatic reasons के लिए अंग्रेजी कर दी, which I think was a huge error. But the bigger error, which was colonially imposed, was the divorce from Farsi. I know from my research that even as late as the 19th century, Altaf Hussain Hali goes on a trip, on a survey of educational curriculums in Punjab, and he discovers that Bustan-e-Sadi and Gulistan पढ़ाई जाती. Late 19th. अब कहाँ हैं आप? I mean, all your ethical literature is there in the Bustan and the Gulistan. वापस लेकर आइए. बेशक उर्दू में पढ़ें, मगर आपकी कोई ethical training ही नहीं हो रही है. You need ethics before you can really understand your religion. So मैं समझती हूँ कि ज़बान का जो मसला है बहुत बड़ा है. और अब ये है कि अब उर्दू हमारे, I mean, I've been teaching at Lums, I used to. वहाँ के मुझे बच्चे कहते थे कि जी we don't write, हम उर्दू नहीं पढ़ते. तो पढ़ते क्या होते? ये तो हद हो गई है कि मतलब अंग्रेजी और उर्दू का इतना आपने तजाद कर दिया है कि जो अंग्रेजी में लिखते हैं वो उर्दू को नहीं समझते. You need to bridge this about that. So I think language is very important. हम हमारे बच्चों को handicapped कर रहे हैं. We've handicapped our youth. अगर आपने उर्दू पे पूरी आपने कंट्रोल लेना है तो you need फारसी. और फारसी आप आते हैं.
I think that a lot of doubts have been clarified after today's talk. I must acknowledge. I do agree with you that history must be pragmatic. In my humble opinion, history cannot be neutral at all. Always been there is some room for the biases of a particular historian. And I'm glad that you have actually pinpointed that even the so-called left or so-called right historians, they are actually inculcating a kind of... So this is a wonderful question that you have raised today, that where does the people's history? Of course, it's a great challenge for the historians as well. Historians, our teachers, they always say, one of my brilliant teachers, वो कहते थे कि तारीख दान जो है वो आलम आराफ में रहता है. ये पुलसरात का सफ़र है, थोड़ी सी लफ्ज़िश आपको गिरा सकती हैं. So, madam, my humble question is that can we write a pure neutral history, or is it a utopia?
देखिए, sort of still operating in the late 19th century Rankian ideals of neutral history. It's human nature. I mean, a historian has 50 sources and finds 20 more useful than the 30. My point is that the problem with historians today is that they think that they are the last word. I believe that history, like knowledge, is cumulative. So you need to read 50 books of history to really come to your own assessment. To say that one book tells all the truth and is neutral, I think is erroneous. We don't talk about objective history or scientific history anymore, but we do talk about balanced history.
Yes.
Balanced, devoid of bigotry, brazen bigotry. So that is possible, but I would say to the students here that if you're studying a topic, please don't cherry pick, don't pick up 5 books and think you've got it. Read 50 books and then come to your position. That is history.
That means
one of my answers to about 50 different narratives, that's the art of history. History itself as a method is meant to be that.
of course we cannot write perfect, but a better
Yes,
history.
we can approximate, we try to approximate the truth, but we can never really quite attain it. We are not God.
Of course.
Yes, that point. All the young people are there. Basically, their minds are polluted from like very beginning, from 4th class to graduation, through the curriculum which you have.
They have to pass exams too, right?
Yes. So my idea is this, that kindly suggest them, because they are young and definitely they have to lead in the future.
Yeah.
So
I do have. And one professor said, well, that's all very well, but what should they write in their exam? And I said, they should not write. I said, I have clarified the contradiction, but you write the exam and what's in your textbook. Magar agar aapne history likhni hai, so you have to first of all realize that there is no guarantee that what you write will be read. So you need to write in a way that will attract people. Because even myself, I can say that my first few books were written for the academy. Yes. Now I know that I don't want to write for the academy. I want to write books that will be read. So there's a big difference there. उसको समझ लें, और जो confusion आपकी identity के अंदर आ गई है, उनको आप history के through जिन लोगों ने history देखी है, जो आपको समझ आती है, उससे समझ लें. तो वो तो बात की बात है ना, मगर आप जो history लिखेंगे, खुद लिखेंगे, वो आप याद रखिए कि you need to sort of somehow link with the people. और वो attractive तरीके से लिखना, खूबसूरत तरीके. So literature, I believe, is very important in the writing of history. You have to be a good literary writer to really get to it.
लेकिन मैम मेरा आपसे क्वेश्चन सिंपल ये है कि जितने भी हिस्टोरियन हिस्ट्री लिखते हैं वो सिर्फ आर्गूमेंट्स को ही उठाते हैं हिस्ट्री में से कि क्या किस फिलहाल हिस्टोरिकल इवेंट में क्या हुआ था, और उसमें से आर्गूमेंट्स निकाल के आपने जिस तरह अभी बयान किया कि 50 आर्गूमेंट्स होंगे, जितने लोग देखने वाले होंगे उन्होंने अपने अपने नैरेटिव देना है. तो आपके नजदीक उन 50 नैरेटिव में से हिस्टोरियन बीइंग हिस्टोरियन वो सबसे एक हार्ड वर्क करेगा, 50 नैरेटिव को अंडरस्टैंड करने के बाद वो अपना एक नैरेटिव देगा जो कि सबसे कंस्ट्रक्टिव होगा, सच की बुनियाद पे होगा. तो आपके नजदीक वो सोसाइटी में जो होगा, सबको दिखाया जाएगा, स्टूडेंट्स को, आने वाली जनरेशन को, वही सच होगा. तो हिस्टोरियन सिर्फ आर्गूमेंट्स पे बात करता है, क्या हिस्टोरियन ये देखता है कि उन आर्गूमेंट्स का जो वो रियलिटी कंस्ट्रक्ट करने की कोशिश कर रहा है उसका आगे वाली जनरेशन पे क्या असर होगा?
It depends on sort of dive in the whole notion of a historian, historian हर किस्म के होते हैं. But to say that history is only about arguments is not correct. I was only pointing out that the contradictory facts, you are presented with contradictory facts and you make sense of what seems plausible. So एक historian ने लिख दिया plausibility के लिहाज से for the future generations कि मुझे लगता है कि ये हुआ था उस दिन Liberty Chowk.
Madam, मेरा question ये है कि in the early phase of Pakistan, people were mainly focused on political history, but gradually we moved to socio-cultural history. From the other side of the border, we got Subaltern School of Thought. But here, this is a question that why we people are writing about bottom group of the society, their contribution in all walks of life, because they are not decision makers. Bottom group of the society, people's history, हमारा इस पे focus क्यों है? Political elite, they are decision maker. शुरू में इस वजह से उन पे फोकस रहा क्योंकि वो डिसीजन मेकर है. बॉटम ग्रुप ऑफ द सोसाइटी उनकी कंट्रीब्यूशन को इस तरह से इग्नोर किया गया कि वो डिसीजन मेकर नहीं है. व्हाट यू कैन से अबाउट दिस?
I have a great problem. I mean, I have criticized the Subaltern School. I mean, I know the Subaltern School very well, and I also know Ranajit Guha personally. And he told me personally, he said that I started this collective, and it should have ended 10 years ago. अब क्या जो Subaltern School कर रहा है, क्या कर रहा है? They began as a critique of elite history and in favor of subordinate history. Then they started talking about subalternity on the basis of gender. Gayatri Spivak came out with some marvelous work. And now it's all about, all the subaltern historians have top jobs in American Academy. So they've done very well for themselves. And now they talk about subalternity of knowledge. So आप मुझे बताइए, what is the subaltern history? But answering your question about how to write history, you know, subaltern schools का सबसे बड़ा flaw जो था, वो ये था कि वो कहते थे कि the subaltern has his or her own domain. The task of history is not to write the history of the so-called people from below or from the top. It's to look at the interface between power and dispossession. That is real history. So to write in sort of silos about subalterns or about the people as opposed to the powerful people is not history. You need to look at the interactive process.
So आपने कहा कि दास्तान गोई को हिस्ट्री राइटिंग में देख, मुझे सिर्फ ये मालूम करना मैं
दिलचस्प हिस्ट्री अब यही बात हो रही थी उसकी। मोहम्मद हुसैन आजाद जो हमारे शहर में रहे और उन्होंने दरबार अकबरी लिखी, गज़ब की किताब, और मगर वो उसको अंग्रेज कहते थे और उनके हमारे अपने मुसलमान की ये हिस्ट्री नहीं है. दिस इज नॉट अ रियल हिस्ट्री. But the point is that you need to write history that will resonate with the people. That Darbari Akbari has been in constant print. Sari awam padhti hai, but it is not history.
Which is not history.
So we have created a false dichotomy between what is history and what we consider history and what people think.
So for that we need to decorate it. Yeah.
You need to embellish it with literary flourishes. Yes.
Yes. So but then again, you cannot.
Decor is a misleading word.
Yes.
Embellish.
So how we can
you need to read more literature. I think history and literature have a natural relationship, and they should be more.
रहा अब भी है, ये लिटरेचर नहीं पढ़ते और हम इसको वो करते हैं, हम कहते हैं एज एन अल्टरनेटिव सोर्स ऑफ हिस्ट्री पढ़े इसको.
बिल्कुल, मैं तो मेरी किताब है ही नई किताब से.
मैं काम कर रहा हूँ प्रिंट मीडिया एंड सेंसरशिप इन कॉलोनियल इंडिया 1849 to 1947.
जेरल बैरियर को पढ़ लिया?
जी बिल्कुल. वो तो मेरी ग्रंथ है, मेरे टॉपिक की ग्रंथ है. देवे कसेठी दूसरी किताब है. तो एक वेल नोन हिस्टोरियन है, उन्होंने मुझे कहा है कि ठीक आप सोर्सेज के हवाले से. तो मैं जब आई एम राइटिंग अबाउट कॉलोनियलिज्म, तो क्या मैं जो कॉलोनियल सोर्सेज हैं उन पे रिलाई कर सकता हूँ? क्योंकि डेफिनेटली मुझे कुछ ना कुछ तो
नॉट ओनली, आई मीन आप पुलिस इंटेलिजेंस एब्स्ट्रैक्ट्स को पढ़ी है मैंने, सेल्फ एंड सॉवरेनिटी में मैंने बहुत इस्तेमाल किया. यू नीड टू रीड देम अगेंस्ट द ग्रेन एंड दे कांट बी द ओनली सोर्सेज. You need to supplement them with.
मेरा क्वेश्चन ये है कि मैं इनको वर्नाकुलर सोर्सेज से कैसे बैलेंस कर सकता हूँ?
बिल्कुल कीजिए आप. VT tracks, I mean, I don't know whether you've got them in Pakistan, but at least at the BL, British Library में भरे हुए हैं. अगर आप लिटरेचर पढ़िए, जो लोग लिटरेचर लिख रहे थे 19वीं सदी में और 20वीं सदी में, उसको पढ़िए, तो आपको सोर्सेज को डाइवर्सिफाई करें. कॉलोनियल सोर्सेज भी चाहिए मगर और भी चाहिए और उनको critically पढ़ो.
I think there are my first important point is, in my opinion, in my humble opinion, the problem of acquiring the primary sources in Pakistan. That is a huge issue for the historians. The best example is the Mahmoodur Rahman Commission's report, and there is it's a chain of hurdles, and particularly so-called state narrative. It becomes a huge hurdle in the way of the true investigation in history. So, what would you suggest for the Pakistani historians particularly? How to cope up with it? How to handle this important issue? Even, for example, CDI files. There are a lot of data, I think, still it is inaccessible.
Exactly.
In Pakistan. On the other side, look at the comparison that CIA documents, they are not public. Absolutely. Of 1950s, 60s, they are available. I have read.
But that doesn't mean that they're all available.
Of course.
So the biggest problem in Pakistan, if I may so, which we archive. When I look at the archive, I wonder what is missing in the archive. Because if you're going to write histories, as some historians are trying to do based on what is available, you're writing a very fragmented history.
Yes.
Because they haven't opened up everything, and this is true of the British. This is true of. I can give you an anecdote at this time.
They're selected.
On the British. I mean the Subhash Chandra Bose, who they had wanted to assassinate. They had put there's a 25-year secrecy rule, but for Subhash Chandra Bose it's 95 or, so we always believed that Subhash Chandra Bose that the British had a plan to assassinate him. But we never found out. One Irish historian stumbled upon an official document in which this appeared. So he disclosed it. But South Asians have not been able to look at South Asian papers to prove that this is what the British intended to do. So har mulk mein hai. So my answer to your question is that if this continues, the answer for the historian is to start, rather than trying to write history about state narratives, you write what the people think of that period. You change your methodology, you change your tactic, and then they'll have to open up. The reason I wrote The Struggle for Pakistan was a deliberate attempt so that they would all disagree and then open up the archives.
साहब ने आपके लिए यूनिवर्सिटी के एक स्विंगर भेजा है, ये आपके साथ रहेगा, आपको याद कराएगा।